Hello YouTubers, apologies if you can hear noise in the background, that's just my fridge going off. Anyway, so this is the new Netflix Kung Fu Panda sequel series, kind of. Kung Fu Panda The Dragon Knight, which, yeah, I just finished watching on Netflix, and as you can see by the time, it's very early in the morning. But I think I'll get this done now. So this series was pretty notable for the return of Jack Black as Poe. And it's weird, it just kind of came out of nowhere, really. So, yeah, a bit odd in that regards. And in terms of, like, the actual, series itself, it's weird because it kind of ignores the actual Kung Fu Panda films, kind of. It does and it doesn't at the same time, because there's a lot of stuff in it that you're questioning. Like, for example, Poe's adopted father is in the series, still voiced by his original voice actor throughout. But Poe's biological father and the whole Panda Village thing, yeah, nothing. Not even mentioned. And something else that isn't even mentioned is the Phoenix Five. They are never mentioned at all in this. Now, I'm not surprised that they weren't in this because, basically, Jack Jack Black probably took up most of the voice acting budget in that regard. But yeah, not even mentioned at all in this. So yeah, it's a bit odd because the threats in this season, for the first time we get to see the Emperor of China and that, and the threat in this threatens the Emperor. So you would have thought, maybe the Phoenix Five would at least get a mention or something about that, but no. But yeah, I'm gonna be as spoiler free with this as I can be. So the premise of this series is that basically two weasels from England come over to Japan to try and find these lost artifacts, one being a gauntlet and one being a whip. And there's four different ones in total, another being a helmet and the one doing two circle spheres things. I can't remember what the other one was, to be honest, because the other two are really barely mentioned. But they're looking to grab all four of these in order to conquer England. So, yeah, to be honest, I thought the villains at first were just going to be pretty one note. That is until we got to episode 8. And episode 8 might be my favourite out of the lot, where it actually goes into the villain's backstory, and the two villains are brother and sister, and it does make you sympathise with them, and although they do villainous acts, you can see where they're coming from, which is something I really applaud it for, and that, you've got these villains, but they are pretty well developed throughout. Initially, they come off as fairly one-note and just for the ha-ha jokes, but no, they do actually develop it, and that is something that obviously can be done with this, with a longer runtime, 24 minutes per episode. Although saying that, it's weird that there's 11 episodes. It's just an odd amount, but then again, it's Netflix, so hey ho. But yeah, it's a surprising amount of episodes. However, I will say, and this is why I watched this over the course of a couple of days, the first 2 to 3 episodes, to be honest, I felt like they were a bit of a drag, to be honest. Once the story though got going and it started taking itself more seriously, that's when I absolutely, jumped on board and was absolutely on board with this. But yeah, Jack Black basically skips back in, suppose there was nothing to do with this. I haven't talked about the new character, who is again a bear from England who is seeking to basically arrest and capture the two weasels. One, because she says she's a knight from England and it's honourable, but also it's more of a personal reason for her because they killed her brother. So yeah, but that's all I'm gonna say on that regards. Now I will be talking about a slight, I don't know about a slight spoiler, but I'm gonna mention it because I do want to talk about. So not really a spoiler about the series, I guess, itself in terms of any plot points, but here we go in 3, 2, 1. So yeah, this season ends on a cliffhanger, sort of. It mainly sets up for basically a second season. Now, that hasn't been confirmed, but it's pretty obvious when watching it that that is what they're going to do. They're going to go off on a quest to try and find the other artifacts. And to be honest, I would really like this series to continue. Watching the first 3 episodes, I wasn't quite sure with it. But by the time I got to the end, I was hooked on it, yeah, which is why I was watching it until 1 in the morning. So, yeah, if you're not sure if you're still watching and you just listen to that, but if you're not sure with this series, I'd say stick with it. Stick with it, you might be surprised. It is a lot of the same, but it's kind of stuff that you love from the Kung Fu Panda films, but it does have that difference to it. And I guess it does kind of have that edge to it, and it's nice to see that it actually gets darker as well, gets to some of the darker elements, which is what I think the second film had, and that as well. I think the third film didn't have it as much. So, yeah, I do highly recommend it, and it's nice to see that, death is a real thing in this universe. Yeah, I was surprised that they actually showed the death of the brother character in this. I was actually surprised that they actually showed it. So yeah. Also something I'll mention, I should have mentioned this earlier. The animation is, for the most part, fantastic throughout. Though there are a few bits where you can tell just like, ooh, that didn't look either properly rendered or just like the lighting in this shot doesn't look quite right, but those moments are few and far between, and mostly are in the first couple of episodes and then just go away after that. Because most of this first season, if it is a first season, whether they change the name of the show for the second season, if that does happen, again, they're probably hinging their bets because you can clearly tell that this was expensive to make. It was definitely an expensive one to make, getting obviously the voice sound, but also the animation and that, which I'd say is probably on par with the films, especially with the animation that they got now. But yeah, overall, I do actually highly recommend it. I didn't think I'd like it as much as I did, but yeah, it was really good.